Welcome to the video on adding and subtracting complex numbers. And in the first case, we're asked to add the two complex numbers 8 plus 3i and 4 minus 7i. And as you will see when we're adding complex numbers, that you can only add the real parts to the real parts and the imaginary part to the imaginary part. So let me just write down the real parts. So we have, actually let me change the color. We have 8 here plus a 4 here. And then we have the imaginary parts. Let me write those in a different color. We have a 3i here and a negative 7i here. And so let me just add each of those. So 8 plus 4, that's pretty straightforward. That's going to be a 12. And then a 3i minus a 7i. So you have 3 of something and you want to subtract 7 of something from it, and the something in this case is I, which is the imaginary unit. And so 3 of something minus 7 of something will just leave me with the negative 4 of something. So the answer would be a negative 4i. And so when you add these two complex numbers, the answer you get is a 12 minus, actually let me write that again, 12 minus 4i. And in the second case, we're asked to subtract the complex numbers 9 plus 5i minus 13 minus 12i. And what I want to do first is I want to remove these parentheses. So I just have a bunch of real parts and imaginary parts, so I can just add them together. So it's going to be 9 plus 5i, and then we have a negative here, so that negative sign is going to distribute into the parentheses. Or another way to think about it is that you have a negative 1 here, which is going to multiply with both of these numbers. So a negative 1 times a 13 would give me a negative 13, and then a negative 1 times a negative 12i would give me a plus 12i. And now I just need to add the real parts to the real parts and the imaginary ones to the imaginary parts. So I have a 9 and a 13. So 9 minus 13 is going to be a negative 4. And then in purple, I have a 5i and I have plus 12i. So I have 5 of something and I need to add it to 12 of something. So that's going to be 17 of something, or 17i in this case. So there's your answer for that one. And I'm going to scroll down and do an actual problem from the SAT involving, in this case, subtraction of complex numbers. And if you're not from the SAT, you can just end the video at this point. You can see this is from 2018, March, US. In the complex number system, which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? 3 plus 4i minus a parentheses and a 2 plus 3i. Pause the video and see if you can figure this out on your own. So in this case, in the actual test, I wouldn't encourage you to write down the steps and write down like I did before. I wrote down the real parts and the imaginary parts. I wouldn't encourage you to do this on the actual test. You can just see in your head that you have to subtract the two real parts. So this is the real part, here is a 3 and here is a 2. So I'm going to have to subtract a 2 from a 3, which is just a 1, which means that the real part of the answer is going to be a 1. And if you look at the answers, there's only one option in which the real part is 1, and that's B. And so that's your answer right there. So this is another strategy. You need to keep looking at the answer and the question. Like when you do questions in your head, you can just you can also look at the answers at the same time. And so it just clicks in your head that it's going to be B. And that's the quick way to do it. I don't even need to find out the imaginary part. I just know the correct answer.